I hope you're all doing very well. This is the Rocky Outcrop on what channel? I'm going to be talking about Wheel of Time here. Yay! So thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you're doing very well out there. And if you would like to see more of this content, be sure to hit like button and subscribe. And we are going to be talking about the Wheel of Time and all that. I thought this was going to be World of Tanks. Sad face, says Joe Maxwell in the chat there. Now, I'm actually a YouTuber. I do other stuff. Might as well show you what I do so you can see me here. Let me just go to YouTube and show you my other channel. Now, I'm called Rocky Outcrop. And if we just search here, Rocky Outcrop, you'll see my channel. That's who I am, and I do technical analysis, and that's the sort of thing that looks something like this over here, where you look at charts of prices of financial instruments, and you buy them and you sell them and all that good stuff. Well, we're here to talk about the Wheel of Time, and this is what the Wheel of Time looks like over here. Here's a big old picture of the Wheel of Time. I nabbed that for my thumbnail for this one. There you go, just showing how much of a YouTube expert I am there, forgetting the word for that. And yeah, we're going to just be talking about this sort of thing here, and we'll talk about the cast of it and all that good stuff, hopefully. So we'll see how all that goes, and yeah, if you get your chat in, you can get your chat in. There's the chat there. It is banging in the chat. Banging, really banging in the chat there. So just a little bit of fun here, really, more or less, for us all. Oh, I've got my screen all set up badly. Oops. There you go. Some more YouTube expertness there. Oh, it doesn't want to go any smaller. Well, I've really messed this up. Ah, that's amazing. Will it work now? Right. That's a bit better. Gosh. Well, yeah, so this is my new YouTube channel. It's also kind of old. I've got one video on it that's been here for a wee while. Now will that work? That's better. Yeah, so I've got one video on it where I was talking about, where is he? This guy here, Daniel Henney, who plays the character Lan Mandragoran. And I think he's a cool dude. And he had the same toys as me growing up. Transformer toys. He had this one particular one that you squeeze the chest of it and it sucks water in. It's got suckers on the side of it. And you can spray it at your friend. You know, whatever. Who you happen to be taking a bath with. Howdy, says Danaloo. Who? Cool. Hey, good to see you, Danaloo. Nice to see you there. So that's that. So I thought maybe since this channel, it's only got 8 subscribers, and it's not monetized or any of that. So it's not too big a deal if we play the trailer and stuff. I don't want to get copyright strikes and all the rest of it. So what we're going to do is transform this content into transform content or something like that, as we review these as what's you call it? What's it? It's make it new, make it ourselves. As we can look at some clips of the old Wheel of Time and see what it's going to look like, because not all of you necessarily will know about the Wheel of Time. I guess everybody that tunes in to watch this video later will know about the Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time trailer, because you'll be searching for Wheel of Time stuff if you come across this channel. It's brand new to you and all that good stuff. Then hello, and you already know about the Wheel of Time. But the people who know me, who might happen to tune into this channel because they're searching for Rocky Outcrop stuff, might not know about the Wheel of Time. So I suppose we can introduce it to people as well. Golly gosh, things appearing on the screen in my background, which I didn't want to have appearing. Right, so yeah. Oh, hey Joe, hey Dana. Right, so let's watch the trailer and stuff, and I'll introduce my friends to this thing. So I've got 3 friends in the chat there: Christy, Joe, and Dana, and I can introduce you guys to it. So what is it? What's it all about? It's a book, big fantasy series of books. There's like 14 of them, and they're all like that big, 1,000-page efforts. And the author who was writing them died before he finished the whole thing. Now, he'd obviously sketched it all out, and in fact, he'd written the last scene of the entire story back when he wrote the first book as well. It's like it was all planned. but they had to find an author to take up the reins in between times. So Brandon Sanderson stepped in. Now, again, if you're not actually know much about fantasy or modern young adult fiction books or whatever, then you might not have heard of that guy. He's also got a TV show coming out, an animated one based on his Mistborn series, and he'd actually done some books at the time of this and was a growing, popular, young, up and coming author and a really good writer, you know, and he put out there. You could really get a job done of a thick book, you know. And they took him on to try and finish it. He quickly realized that he wouldn't be able to do it in just one book, which was the hope, the expectation at the time. Had to split it into 3 books, 3,000 page long efforts. Hey, Apple, good to see you as well. So we had to split it into those into 3 books. Now he's a different guy, a different writing style, and I've described Brandon Sanderson as being really all about pathos and you know the story evolving. So it really was a good one to come in there and kind of you know hit the home run and end the story off. But there was nuances in terms of the way that he wrote the characters. Now there was always going to be. He's a different guy. So, but I think they did an amazing job at bringing this thing together. And for me, it's a story that, and for as well, for a lot of people who do tune in later, who know about the Wheel of Time already, it's a story that we grew up with. You know, so here I am. I'm 35. I'm going to be 36 this month, a couple of weeks away from my birthday. Just now, looking forward to that. Good to see you, Dead Money. How you doing? And there's another one of my friends here. And I must have started reading these books when I was like, what, 10? I don't know. I can't really remember now. And I remember, well, I do remember like the moment when I was introduced to the books through my oldest brother's German flatmate at the time who was reading them in English. And because he was, my older brother was going to university at the time. I would have been about 10 or so. And then these things have been with me for the last 25 years. I've obviously read them a whole bunch of times. Now, the people who are out there in the world of Wheel of Time creating content at the minute on YouTube are like experts. They're all experts, right? You say, "Whoa, what was that? Who was that Aes Sedai that did that thing at that time or whatever?" And they'll be able to tell you the chapter title that you're talking about, you know, and what they were wearing at the time and everything. Never mind just their name. I've got more of an old Swiss cheesy brain when it comes to remembering particular nuanced details of the thing, but I've always been engaged in the community as well. In fact, you know, some of you might even recognize my name from chatting on boards and stuff like that. You'll definitely recognize my name from the books, though. They're forever coming across me in the story and climbing up on top of a rocky outcrop or, you know, whatever it happens to be. So yeah, and the so I've grown up with these things, and it's been a wonderful part of my life, and it's great. Maybe it goes some way towards explaining why I'm not a misogynist. I don't know. The books are heavily featuring female characters, and the protagonist, if you could really narrow it down to one, which is kind of hard to do because the main character, so to speak, in this story doesn't even feature hardly in some of the books, you know. So many of the protagonists in this story are female, and the power structures within the world are dominated by females, and it's an interesting dynamic. It's really interesting stuff. So that's kind of a bit of background about, I suppose, about me, and I guess my enjoyment of the books and how many times I've read them, listen to them as well. I mean, you go back and listen to these audiobooks, the way that these guys did it, like that. Kate Redding and Jim Kramer. Is that what he's called? Not Jim Kramer. Kramer, Kremer, Kramer and Redding. The way they read the books is absolutely fantastic. They're a married couple. Really fantastic stuff, and I love listening to audiobooks. So yeah, I would recommend them. Funnily enough, as it happens, if you wanted to, you could listen to Rosamund Pike doing this story. Now, Rosamund Pike, she's one of the actresses, or whatever. You can see her there in that little teaser trailer at the top there, video suggestion on YouTube. Rosamund Pike, she's a really, really fantastic, you know, top level actor. I think the PC thing is just to say actor these days. And she's reading the audiobook. I don't know if it's out yet or not, but there's a Wheel of Time, The Eye of the World audiobook version as read by Moiraine, the character in the story, or Rosamund Pike, actually. So it's read by Rosamund Pike. I mean, yeah. And it's going to be brilliant. Now, here's an idea, and I don't know, people will hate me for saying it, but some people will like it, right? What if you were to take all of the female point of view chapters and use Rosamund's sections for them and replace Kate Redding and go with the Kramer male points? Would you maybe have the very best version of the audiobook of The Wheel of Time? Maybe you would. I wonder. Michael Kramer, thanks so much for that. Danilou's saying in here, I know a lot of Wheel of Time YouTubers and podcasters, and their minds aren't generally that good on all of the Ace of Time names. Okay, I was being quite complimentary of them, but there are some definite experts out there. And my favorite, possibly my two favorite, that'll be a section of the show today. Introduce you to other YouTubers, and Danilou probably knows all about them as well. Oh, really? You were listening to that audiobook yesterday, so we've got some chat in there. Give us a review. What do you think of it? What do you think? How do you think? How does she compare to to Kate Redding? Or Kate reading, you know? It's funny, it's Kate Redding is reading the book, you know? So yeah, well, right. What was I talking about before? Anyway, Apple Blossom says, I'm seriously going to the store. You're going to the store. Okay, cool. Nice one. I wondered if that was where you got your name. Boom. Yeah, that's partly definitely it. Never mind, was me, lol. Oops, there you're tatting there. So that's cool. These are all chatting to each other. Right, great. Yeah, let me know what you think of that one. Wonder what people would think of that suggestion, though. I think they are cherished, absolutely cherished in the community. But I wonder how good a job Rosamund Pike did. And now she's taken over as Moraine. Is that going to be, you know, the audiobook or not? For those female points of view, I think it's an idea. It's an idea that I've had. Anyway, I wonder if other people have had it too. Cool. So, well, here, what's the story about? Shall we talk about that for a second? I guess all you all know about it as well, but here's what the story is about. The story is about characters from a small village who then go off into the bigger, wider world and take on their destinies. I suppose you could say that's the same as so many stories, right? So many stories. Humble beginnings, grand end, and then there's like kind of the biblical idea of, you know, forces of evil and some power for good, and the battle between them. And there's elements of the kind of the underdog style part of it where it just seems so much like the forces of for evil have got really got it going on, and that the forces for the light, as they would describe it in the books, really don't have their shit together at all. And it looks pretty, you know, hard at a lot of times for how things could possibly go. Anyway, it's got all of those elements that you're familiar with from other stories, right? It has. This is it's not to be shied away from saying that. And Robert Jordan, the author himself, would have told you he was inspired by all these things. So it's built into the story. And in fact, in the opening chapter of the book, when it first starts after the prologue, right, where it says there's a wind, and it has this section about the wind. It's a beautiful thing. In fact, what is the opening Eye of the World wind section? I wonder if we can get that up on the old Googles here. The wind bit. Anyway, at the start of the book. Wind at the start of the book. Go on, give us that. Give us that quote. Give us that quote. There, yeah, okay, here we go. There's one, somebody talking about it. Thanks, somebody on the internet. The internet's great for all of this. And so yeah, I'll read that after. So the story is about all these things, and Robert Jordan himself would have told you this if you'd have asked him. And the first book is very heavily inspired and an homage, almost in fact, to Lord of the Rings. Now it has this the same sort of feeling, then, if you like, of leaving the Shire and going off to face all these evil things out there in the world that's experienced in Lord of the Rings. But the story very rapidly changes into its own beast. In fact, it very much is its own story from the outset. But you could say that from book 2 onwards, that it really finds its feet with its own storytelling, and it's inspired by so many things. And in the start of the story, you find there's this theme from the very beginning that there's a cyclical nature in this world, and it's based on Earth. Okay, and the idea is that every few thousand years or so, everything that we know gets completely wiped out. The world breaks and a whole new age begins. Now, Well, that's okay, maybe I got that slightly wrong in the sense that actually, from throughout the ages, there isn't always necessarily complete and absolute destruction. It has an overall cycle. It goes all the way around 7 ages or something like that. It comes back to the start, whatever. Right? We'll not get into the detail of it. Essentially, what you have is this idea, and I feel like that's also quite like loads of ideas of ancient civilizations from Earth. You think about Atlantis and whatever, and how possibly could it have been there an ancient highly technological civilization just got wiped off the face of Earth, and you think that's crazy. Then you think, well, wait a minute, humans are genetically exactly the same. But you took a human from 500,000 years ago or 30,000 years ago, and you stuck them in, as a baby, and you just transported them through time, and everything about everything about them was exactly the same. But they grew up in today's world. They'd be exactly the same as you or I. Same thing. The humans are the same. It's amazing, really. So you could have theoretically have had those sorts of civilizations in the past because we've got one now. So we could have. They were genetically the same as us, really. So it's like that in the Wheel of Time, except that actually is happening, and you can the age that the book is set in is the third age, and in the second age that was the age of legends, and there was this kind of culmination of technological power, and then and everything was really fantastic. Everybody living a good life, and then the world went to poop. Now it's based on Earth as well. So it's not like Game of Thrones, which is kind of like, is that on Earth? Is it not? Is it really just the UK? No, this is, and that so it could be in a far distant future, it could be in a far distant past, and the wheel turns and ages come and go. Now, at the start of the story, then as well, this is introduced to us, and we'll see these themes in the story throughout. So there's an homage perhaps to the Arthurian legend, King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table and Camelot and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's in there, influenced by it, but so many other things are. And the iconography within the book is so influenced by stuff from our own lives. I mean, there's a bit in the story where they're going past a statue, which is a huge statue that they're digging out of the ground, and it's just the ideas of that are reminiscent of like the Sphinx in Egypt. Now, of course, that wasn't that they dug the Sphinx out of the ground, but these sorts of ideas, it's brilliant. And so then intertwined in the story, you find all these sorts of references to stuff that is which we might know about. So much so, in fact, actually, the story is not set in the distant past; it is set in the distant future because there's a couple of little Easter eggs in the books. Now, this isn't a spoiler for anybody. If you're going out to read the books, technically you could say maybe tiny is, but it isn't. There's an objects are found in the story at times, which like one of them is this 3-pointed star thing, and it's a Mercedes Benz badge, and it's like this old relic, and they're like, what is this? And nobody knows what it is. But it was probably from the first age, we were maybe in the 7th age or the 6th age or the first age or whatever. That's where we are now. And this anyway. So this thing, right? What does it say? The wheel of time turns, and ages come and pass. This is the chapter 1. So in the book, when you read it, if you do get the wheel of time and decide to read it sometime, you'll notice that you have got you'll notice that there's this prologue to the book, which is really quite fantastic, and it's a very different tone to really anything that's to come in the rest of that book. And it's set in the age of legends, the previous age to the one that we're experiencing inside the time of the story. So then when you finally do get around to the first chapter, just to kind of to enter you into that world and to give you a nice little delivery, and the Robert Jordan wrote this little section, and I think it's quite nice. And then every book afterwards opens up with this, and it gives you this idea of the wind going over the land, and the evolution of time as the wind kind of is like that, kind of sweeping away the past like entropy, and the Gangoliers and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so this is it. The wheel of time turns, and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten when the age that gave it birth comes again. In one age, called the third age by some, an age yet to come, an age long past, a wind rose in the mountains of mist. The wind was not the beginning. There are neither beginnings nor endings to the turning of the wheel of time, but it was a beginning. And that's what, that's nice, right? It sets you up for that. Now everybody that reads the Wheel of Time, um for decades and decades, comes across a point where they're talking to friends about it, your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever it happens to be, and you're like, telling them to read it and whatever, and they're too lazy and they can't be bothered, and then you read a bit of them to them and everything else. So probably everybody that's been into this for decades has read that out, and I've probably not done that good a job of it there now, but it's lovely. It's a lovely section. And anyway, of course, then born below the ever cloud-capped peaks that gave the mountains their name, the wind blew east, out across the sandhills, once the shore of the great ocean, before the breaking of the world. Down it failed into the two rivers. Flailed? Did I just read that wrong? Anyway, into the two rivers, into the tangled forest called the Westwood, and beat at two men walking with a cart and horse down the rock-strewn track called the Quarry Road. For all that spring should have come a good month since, the wind carried an icy chill, as if it would rather bear snow. What? Magic stuff. That's really well written. By the way, that's a really well written little section there. Beautiful alliteration. It's poetic, and it conjures up these images of the entropy of time. Destroying. Like that. What was once the shore of a great ocean. And it's now just this. The sand hills and things like that. And it's brilliant because I walk around outside, and the buildings here are made from sandstone. This compressed sandstone stuff. It's the time that's gone by, the hundreds and hundreds of years old. These buildings, and it gives you the feeling of because I live in an old city in Scotland, by the way, for everybody, where there's buildings outside that are many hundreds. I mean, the building that I'm in at the minute, for instance, was built 10 years before the piano behind me was made, actually, in 1870. So but that's a relatively recent building. I mean, I've got photographs of the building that's being built right down the street there. They hadn't invented the camera by the time they built that one. Stuff like that, and I love it. The idea of generations and generations of people have been here, and ancient stuff and whatever else. So all of that, and that feeling gets transposed into the writing through the alliteration and the nice thing. So anyway, the result of this is that you've got these two characters walking along a road together, and the wind has carried your perceptions down into that moment of that context, and then the story can begin. It's a beautiful start to things, and I really like it. So yeah. So how's the chat getting on there? I wondered if that was where you got your name. Yes, indeed, Apple Blossom. That's right. Ooh, femdom, says Joe Maxwell. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, we can talk about what the story is all about in a second here. I'll tell you what the story is about properly, I guess, in a second. No spoilers, reviews. So we got that review that came in though from Dana, which we were looking for. Yeah, I heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. We heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. So she was listening to Rosamund Pike reading the Eye of the World audiobook yesterday. I love her voice and female characters, but I'm undecided on a couple of her male voices. Boom! There we have it. The ultimate combo. Oh my goodness. Michael Kramer reads that book so gosh darn good. I wonder if I can just be cheeky and get a bit of it up there so you can see what I'm talking about. In fact, whoa, if you think that I read that section well at all, no way. No feckin' way. I could maybe get the Eye of the World audiobook. Maybe it's been put up there on YouTube by somebody, maybe. And we can find that one and get a snippet of his voice so you can hear what he's talking about. For me, now of course you might all hate it. That's up to you. But he's got for me it's cool. And the one of the things about it is that he's got this kind of this accent which is not from round here, but the way that the story is written and the way he reads it is so familiar. Maybe not really because I've heard them relatively in my life so long ago that it's become so familiar to me. I don't know, but for me it's the voice of them. So to the point that whenever they put the trailer on and I hear their English accents from these guys, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I mean, I know that that's kind of what they were going with. I know that's what they were going with, and they wouldn't have wanted to have had those. But I feel a bit like, oh, could they? But then Kramer's got this his own voice, you know. And I don't know, you couldn't have had everybody going around talking like him all the time, or it would have been just too good. So they went with the English accents. Oh well, whatever. Hopefully they get some Scottish characters in there, though. I mean, the best character in Game of Thrones, by like leagues, right? We're in Fantasyland by many leagues. Was of course the Hound. Plenty of people name their swords, eh? So, yeah, nice one. That's good. Thanks for the review there, by the way. The Wheel of Time turns and ages come and pass. It does kind of start inside the stereotype of the genre, but doesn't stay there long before redefining epic, says Ghost of Dead Money. Nice review there. I mean, that's that would be a great little blurb on the cover of the book for anybody. Like, oh, you pick up this fantasy book. Yeah, you're in a shop, the bookshop. You're surrounded by fantasy books. You're smelling and tasting nerd everywhere around you. This tome of a book in your hand. Tome is the word, but you know everybody in this community says tome for some reason. But anyway, you're standing there with this tome of a book in your hand, tome, and and you're like, here we go again down that road, meeting the equivalent of a Gandalf, meeting the equivalent of a Frodo. It's going to happen. You know that that's what's going to happen, but if you read a review like that, look, it does. It redefines epic in a way that only that Terry Goodkind has wet dreams about. Am I right? Okay, cool. So, right, cool. Let me see here. All of the Eye of the World books printed now have an additional prologue called Ravens, where Egwene is like 9 years old. Is that right? Wait a minute. I just found out about this new prologue 2 years ago. Apparently, it was put in when they tried to appeal to the young audience market. Yeah, that's cool because I totally don't care about Egwene when she was 9 years old, so that makes sense. So that makes sense why that's kind of skipped that. I'm sure Ravens, right? Yeah, so I've heard people talk about Ravens and that all the time. And the thing talking about that all the time on that mysterious one of my favorite YouTube shows for the Wheel of Time. That I've heard that chap talking about it a bunch. I'll get around to telling who they are later. You know, this video is only going to get like the amount of people in this audience, X2 views in total, by the way, through it. This is just us. This is us by the fire with my website. Whoever made this website's background behind me. It's nice. It feels warm and comfortable here, cozy. And yeah, it's never going to get many views. Anyway, cool. Mysterious channel stuff coming up later. What else is going on in the chat? Yeah, you just found out about 2 years ago. Totally. I just found out about it then and kind of now again. How many books in the series? Yeah, way up there, 14, and a short prequel. That's right, there is a short prequel. The prequel's New Spring. That was written by Robert Jordan, by the way. So there's like the final 3 books were written by Brandon Sanderson. The prequel and the rest of them are written by Robert Jordan. Now, there's people out there. We can talk about what order you should read the books in just real quick here. Read the books in whatever order you feel like. If you want to read the prequel first, go ahead and do that. I prefer to have read the books just in the standard format because it was nice to get that sort of prequel to go back when they were published, and it's like when it came out, it's like, oh yeah, this is cool and whatnot. And I like the discovery of the themes through the first book in that introduction there, rather than the way in the prequel where you're not seeing as much through the point of view of a character who is ignorant to the way that the world works outside of his little village. So you don't get those introductions in the same way, and I prefer it that way. So I would say read the first book, the second book, the third book, whenever you want to, and you're thinking, I'm going to read another book of one of this one, go jump back, read the prequel, read the whole entire thing, then read the prequel, do whatever you want. That's it. But some people would say that you should read them in, I don't know what order. You do what you want. OneDrive's not working, hey? Cool, nice one. I could listen to Michael Kramer read a phone book. That's what I'm talking about there. So yeah, combine those two together and you've got it. 3 of the books were co-authored by Brandon Sanderson, indeed. And, co-authored is a stretch. They were almost entirely authored by Brandon Sanderson. Lol. So, yeah, I was going to say, this is pretty cozy. It is pretty cozy, isn't it, Joe? The prequel assumes you know some stuff. Yeah, the prequel assumes you know some stuff, so it's not really worth reading the prequel before you read it. And it's a prequel, right? It's not like it's the actual season. Yeah, story starts with the Eye of the World. Right. So yeah, what is the story about then? Right. What is the story about? I've harped on about how it's got tropes from fantasy in it, you know, that you would expect. I've harped on about how the author actually did it intentionally, and it's really well done in that way. It's not stealing, it's not borrowing, it's standing on the shoulders of giants, and it's a different thing, and it's very very good. It's built into the theme of the story. I've talked about how it's set on Earth and it's got power structures which are focused towards women. But what really is the story here in this book? Well, what you have is a world where there is access to a power which we don't have access to here for us right now. This is magical power, and they call it the one power. The you know, it's all part of the this magic world, okay, which is the biggest difference, I suppose, between the world that we live in and the world that they live in. So they can access this thing. And what is it? Well, it's like a sort of elemental forces which you can combine together, and that's called weaves. And when you do certain things together, then it can create outcomes in the world. So when, of course, you can do the standard sort of things like move objects around, and you might want to do that using something like um, air. So you would channel air, grab an object with air, and move it to you, for instance. And you can do other things as well, like you can create fire. Now, of course, the those are quite elemental even in their outcomes. And in the Age of Legends, which is not where the story is set, this had evolved to the point where you had flying cars and all sorts of magical things like doorways you can walk through and you're walking out somewhere else, medical stuff that, like, you know, will heal you of any condition and all this sort of stuff. But in the story that we're reading, while the characters in it themselves often believe that they're actually at the pinnacle of what they're doing, they're very much, you know, children playing with fire, quite literally in many instances. In this world, there is a huge continent, and it's called Randland by the people who are fans of the book. Okay, so it's like the main continent that they're in, and within that, there are many different areas and many different cultures. There's also a massive continent way off somewhere else that's got its own crap going on, and the front cover of the book's got a beautiful map that illustrates that. Now, within this continent, there's very many different countries and very many different cultures, as it says. And within one of these countries, there's a small village on the outskirts which never even gets tax collectors turning up ever, where there is a farm boy and his dad walking along a road together. Now, what's going to happen here is that a group of these kids from this village are going to be told by somebody who's called an Aes Sedai that one of them is destined to have to battle against the Dark One to save the world. Whoa, mind blowing stuff. You don't know who it is at the start, and it becomes clear fairly rapidly, to be fairly frank with you. But you don't know who it is at the start of the story. It could be any of these kids that are leaving this village, and they're going off to try and then ultimately defeat the Dark One. And the way that that's going to work is going to be through the stories of these individual characters learning what they're doing and going out and meeting people and getting friendships and relationships, ultimately getting into positions of power, ultimately having armies and ruling nations, and then after that, ultimately having to have big wars and huge battles involving people with that can use this magical power. Now, who can use this magical power? Primarily women. Are the and of the of within that, you know, so not the men, and then within women, it's only a very small percentage of people that have actually got access to this. So very like an elitist sort of thing, and in some areas of the world, in the wider world, it's seen very differently, and people think of it as being a very negative thing, and they try and punish those people for having access to it. In other parts of the world, these women who have access to this power are actually the leaders, you know, or you know, or while they don't necessarily rule the countries, they're advisors and very powerful. And the most powerful people in the entire world are essentially this group. Now, why is it only women? Well, when the men do it, they go mad, and this is explored in the prequel of the entire story, where the character in the prequel is actually mad at the time, and he's running around looking for his wife, saying Elena, Elena, Elena. But he's actually eviscerated her and his children and all his staff and everybody else. He's gone completely doolally, right? He's mad. He's mad as a hatter. And he's killed everybody all around him. And he's like, whoa, the party's starting soon. Where are you? And then he's like, oh, there you are. Oh my God. Wait, I did that. Ah. And he's having this sort of insight, moments of insight. He's like, anyway, then this other character turns up who's evil and is like, ha, screw you. You're such an ass hat. You thought you could defeat us and like you're just an ass. This sort of thing. And he's like still going, but yeah, okay, oh, it's good to see you, but my wifey, I'm just, where are you? And then the guy's like, look, you're mad, man, you're mad. And he uses this dark power to heal the character there, and he gets a moment of insight, and within that moment of insight he's like, oh my God, what have I done? And he kills himself. And he kills himself in such a way with so much of this power that it creates a whole mountain. And this is this idea of breaking of the world, and it's quite like the massive long-term impact that we see of glaciers and volcanoes creating new worlds, but in a condensed shorter period of time, as it's just it's destroying the world. And yeah, and that character then was the one who'd gone off to try and sort out all the problems with this dark one. And as a result of his actions, the men from that moment onwards who get access to the power are also getting tainted by the power of the dark one. So the dark one is the sort of elemental evil godly force, which is counter to the good one. The good one's called the creator, who created stuff, good guy. The dark one is bad. He's called Shaitan. As a reference, like I think the word for the like is many languages, Arabic, for instance. I think is like the devil's called like very similar words. It's a very similar sounding thing to Shaitan. So it's these things leaning on references that we know. Funnily enough, by the way, Lord of the Rings did that too. You know the character in Lord of the Rings called the Dunedain or whatever. The city that I'm in, like I said, this old city is Edinburgh, and its Gaelic name is Dunedin, and that's where the author, what was he called again? J.K. Rowling? No, J.K.K. Rowling, who wrote Lord of the Rings, borrowed that word from the name of Edinburgh. Jokes, by the way. Borrowed that word from the name of Edinburgh for his story. So it's a similar sort of thing, like authors do this, and why wouldn't you? Because these are beautiful, fantastic words. So that's the dark one, right? And the idea being that the power that these women use, which is the good version that isn't dirty and got the dark devilness in there, is it comes from the creator and all this good stuff, jolly good. And the one that the devil type character has is was this other power source way back in the day that, and this isn't spoilers, this is all sort of prequel stuff. I mean, like I say, this is set in the Third Age, and what I'm talking about happened in the Age of Legends background to the story. These guys and girls out there back in the day, when the men and women worked together and the men weren't mad and tainted by the dark one, they found this other source of power. They're like, they could hear what's that noise behind that wall? Well, it wasn't that. It was more like, there's a feeling down there. There's a power down here. Let's tap into it. And they tapped into it, and what they didn't know they were tapping into was the bad one. And they then there is this way of doing the same sort of stuff with magic, where you do the weaves, like I was talking about earlier on, but using yon bad guy's power. So that's it. Like, that's your setup. That's the world we're going into. And Moiraine, the Rosamund Pike character, who is Gandalf essentially in this sense, is going into this village to find Frodo and Sam and all the other ones, to tell them that they have to go and that at some point they're going to have to go and defeat the dark one. Now the problem being, if this character is a man, that that of course he'll then have to use this magic in order to do it, and in order to do it, this magic is going to turn him mad, because there's an inevitability. It's not something that just happens to some people, it happens to everybody that touches it. So much so that within this body of women that have the access to the magic, there's an organization within them who deal with sorting out men that get access to the power and clamping down on them and making sure that they get killed or whatever's necessary to stop any destruction happening. Cultures in the world have ways of dealing with their own men if they don't have sort of access, so to speak, to the White Tower where the Aes Sedai, the women that have access to this power, chill out. That's the whole story. I mean, that's the whole story, and within that framework, many, many magical, wonderful things happen. Tribulations, trials, tribulations, adventure. You've got growth, like tons of growth, emotional, physical, and spiritual growth that happens with all the characters, and and like I say, ultimately, you're reading a story which has got so many. It's a walk down that road that you've maybe been down 1,000 times before, but it's done in the way to do that. That actually, I think, elevated the whole genre at the time and has never been really reached quite in that way since. Of course, having inspired plenty of other authors out there to do similar things in fantasy world, like in terms of this whole fantasy genre that we have. By which I mean I'm not including the likes of the Iliad or any of that in fantasy. And there are other authors out there who've done better work, so to speak. But this is, in terms of this sort of junk, the best. Right, cool. Not sure how much you've seen of the cast, but sounds like they're going into the decision on how to seal the Dark One away that kicked the taint off in Series 1. Woo! Interesting, right? So that'd be cool. See if we could get flashbacks within the story. That would be epic. People will absolutely go crazy for flashbacks from the Age of Legends. Fans reading this know that we're coming into a TV show which has got a massive budget and that the computer graphics these days are up to the challenge. And beyond that, they've actually got a real good focus on doing the cosmetic stuff and actually, practical effects as opposed to just pure computer stuff, which means that the result is really clean and crisp. It's just so good. It's going to stand the test of time, this one. So we know that we're going to get all these sorts of treats, but it's an adaptation of a book onto a different medium, which means that some of the nuances of the story will be missed. I mean, there's over 2,500 named characters in the 14 books or something ridiculous like that. So, we're not going to see that on the show, and lots of people get storylines will be condensed, some things will be cut, other shortcuts here and there might be taken. Some of it's going to result in beautiful new better things coming out of it, like like elements of the story will be better and different, or just equals and but not the same as it was, and other parts will be worse than whatever else. But there's bits that can be brought to life in the show and expanded on so well with the visuals of the medium of TV, which is going to satisfy that itch inside people so much when it comes to the Age of Legends, because it's only ever briefly mentioned at various little tiny times here and there, tiny times throughout the story. So these little glimpses you get are just tasting sessions, little nuanced whiffs of a smell of the past. Whereas on the screen in Technicolor, it's going to be like, wow. So any moments from the past there where they can re-show that'd be amazing. Now, I'm not going to anticipate that too much. Not going to anticipate that too much there with that one. Pretty much, Stu, completely agree. Do you think they'll be pretty faithful to the books? Yeah, absolutely. Now, this is something that's been talked about a lot. So, I myself have wanted to see an adaptation of the Wheel of Time for a long time, and so have thousands upon thousands of millions, literally probably millions of other Wheel of Time fans. And the process that's led to this TV show being made has included so many different people along the way, some of which even are the ones who first off kind of got access and bought the rights from Robert Jordan and his wife Harriet. His name was actually not Jordan, that was a pen name. But and there's the Red Eagle Entertainment, and they produced this really bad trailer because just to meet some contractual obligations for the Wheel of Time back in the day, of that moment where your man's looking for Elena, having already killed her, and then gets a moment of insight just before he creates Dragon Mount. It's what that mountain becomes known as later. So they made this little thing, and people reacted very negatively, an outpouring of please don't destroy our dreams that we've had for this, and nothing really ever came from any of that. So the fans have voiced very vocally for a very long time how they feel about what the need for artistic integrity and a faithfulness to the story really is so very important. Also, beyond that, I think that with the example that Game of Thrones showed, where the content that came from and stuck to the story of the books was so much better than the content that they were able to come up with after the story that was already published by Georgie Martin was by that point was that that is a really massive example to look, hey, there's good content there, just do have faith in the story and the books and it will work best. So that feeling has existed all the way along. So when Amazon took on the baton and were looking for a showrunner, they went out and they found somebody who on paper didn't have the same necessary sort of like the same sort of pedigree as perhaps other showrunners that they could have got to do this. But what he definitely did have was a really strong connection to the books. Now, the guy, Rafe Judkins, he's called, I think I'm pronouncing that right, has done. Has had, you know, he read these books with his mum, I think at the time was suffering from cancer, and the relationship there is obviously very, very special to him. I think there's that, although I wouldn't want to speak for him on that front. So he says some, I think he has some very, you know, close connection to the story for loads of reasons that go beyond it. And I think he then sees the value in retaining that precious aspect of the story, which is that, you know, to stay true to it. But at the same time, he's aware of the limitations of doing that and is wanting to adapt it. So he's been so careful to do so. So in terms of faithful to the books, some non-spoiler spoiler things are already very much common knowledge amongst the Wheel of Time people, is that in the story, in the books, there's a city called Camelin, which the characters visit fairly early on. Now, that city, they don't go back to it for a very long time. I think another 3 books or so go by before they ever go back to it again. And you know, it's great and it's a wonderful thing, and in the stories, the books, you know, it's perfect, and having these things where you go somewhere and you want to go back is brilliant. But in terms of the TV show, you know, having a massive set that costs literally millions and millions and millions of dollars to build and then not having it and not using it or whatever for a number of years is just not feasible. And the characters and the people you meet there and keeping them on, you know, retainer and whatever else wasn't worth it. So that some people from the first season have been moved into the second season, one of which is Elaine Tricand. So if you've read the stories, you'll know, and you've been looking at the thing as sort of slight spoiler, I suppose. There, if you somehow have read the books but don't know about the TV show, that's not a spoiler, right? Then Elaine, she's going to be in season 2 now. That's a massive budget and human resource consideration, and it makes for a better story because you can move the elements from there over to Tar Valon instead. But it does change things. You know, it's not being entirely faithful to the book. So how do you be faithful to the books? And it's a case kind of triage. You know, you need to choose the things that are right for it at the time. So they took that time in season 1 filming and everything else to cast a really good Elaine, and then everybody that apparently, according to them, I've not seen any clips of her or anything, but according to them, there's like when you meet her, you're like, oh my goodness, she is Elaine Tricand. She was born to play Elaine Tricand, you know, like that. So it's like, so they can stay faithful to the books by capturing the spirit of it, putting that effort in where it's needed, and they can stay, and then other things not, you know, there's going to be changes. For example, the nuanced changes that even lots of book readers won't notice. For like Tam's sword. This is Tam is one of the characters in the book's father, and you'll meet him very, very early in the story, perhaps in the very first scene, because he's that guy. He's one of the guys in that section of that story that I just read there now. The 2 people walking along, one of them is Tam, and he has a sword. And that sword is also like, you know, it features in the story for a wee while. And they've gone for the sort of the Japanese, the samurai style sword, right? Okay, and I know I'm getting the name wrong of that, but I'm talking to people who would understand what I'm talking about as opposed to using the correct language, right? So they've got a samurai style sword there for him instead of one of those other ones which has got, like, you know, a hilt on it that stops, you know, that's got a hilt on it and stuff like that. You know, a straight sword with a hilt. So they've gone for a different style of sword. You know, to a lot of people, right, that's a problem. You know, and to a lot of people, it's perfect and great, and they don't care. and it's going to change the mental canon of people in the future. And it doesn't matter to me, honestly, really, because that doesn't constitute staying faithful to the books in my mind, although to a lot of other people it does. So the debate about how faithful to the books are staying is one that has to be constructed within the idea of reality versus fantasy. It is a fantasy story, and it's fantastically written across 14 and a prequel, massive, fantastically long books, but to actually take that fantasia over onto the screen and show it in video isn't possible. I mean, you can't have inner dialogue. You can't show certain nuances from the point of view. One of the brilliant things about the book is the unreliable narrator component in there, where the people within the story themselves don't know. They don't know what the rules are. They don't know. Like they we can know as the reader what actually happened back in the day, but now they don't know. So we know when we read the prequel that there was this character called the Dragon who really loved his wife and really didn't want to kill her, and was a nice guy and well respected, and he tried his hardest, and he really didn't want to go out the way he did, and it just wasn't what he was. We know this from the prequel, right? But then as soon as you get into like chapter 1, mentions of the dragon are like, oh, that scary guy, he destroyed the world, like as if he's as bad as the Dark One, when of course he was trying so hard to save the world. And it's this idea of legends become myth. Now, how are they going to transpose the unreliable narrator onto the show when you don't have inner dialogue and everything else, and you don't get that exposure to the individualism of the subjective nature of any given narrative through the lens of the person experiencing it? How do you get that catharsis on catharsis as well through the show when all of it is like, third party removed from the events, and we're not getting inside the characters and going lair, and we're very much the separated. The experience has to be different. So in terms of faithful to the books, I think that the general consensus is that within the limitations of what's possible, they are being faithful to the books. And one of them is one way that they're doing that is in how they've got the Trollocs looking. So let's just get a picture of what the Trollocs look like. Trollocs. How do they spell it again? Trollocs, Wheel of Time TV. Search that. So yeah, it's got an OK. I knew that. That's what I meant. Yes, that's what I meant. Images, right? So right. So here's 1,000 different images, right? And had they gone with something like this, it would have been awful, but you can see the effort that's gone in there. Wow, brilliant. Loads of effort. Great job, buddy. But it looks like something from Star Trek, doesn't it? It looks like something from Star Trek. There's a human with a costume on that the people on the show are talking to like it isn't a human with a costume on. And we're watching it going, yeah, that's cool. This is Star Trek. And I'm sat here, watching this stuff and not caring. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Whereas and this here is a better picture, right? Now, what have they got? I want to see actually from the trailer itself now. From the trailer itself. I'm actually in two minds as to whether or not I should get this thing copyrighted or not. I don't want to have problems with YouTube by playing their videos and stuff and whatever else, but like, here's a Murdral anyway. Like, that's like they've put effort in there. That's kind of CGI. I saw somebody, Nameless, one of the people talking I'll talk about, who's a good YouTuber, talking about how he felt that, I think it was Nameless, how he felt that the effect being slightly more CGI on the Murdral is and it having that kind of ethereal look of CGI is actually good, because that's kind of in keeping with how the story is about it. It kind of actually works that, in a rare instance where I don't know if that's right. No, that actually is right. Crazy enough. And as for the Trollocs, they've got the where are they? Here's a little picture, but that's crap. Here's a picture. That's a pretty crap picture. Here's a picture. I don't know, but they're scary. The components of these things are that there's meant to be variation amongst this brutal army. So the Dark One has bad armies, right? I mentioned that there's going to be armies and fighting earlier, and some of the armies that he's got are made up of these kind of genetic mishmash things. where somebody out there, and you can imagine it happening now, even right now, they're like, we need a super soldier. How are we going to get a super soldier? Well, let's maybe you could have you imagine it happening in the 60s kind of storyline a bit more, something a bit Marvel's Avengers or whatever type of idea. But you can imagine that some scientists right now could be like, let's invent a super soldier, and what we're going to do is we're going to use blood from a goat so that it can climb mountains quicker, and we're going to use frog DNA so that it can catch bullets out the air with its tongue. Whatever, right? You can imagine trying to splice in things. And in fact, there was a movie called Splice, was there not, exactly about that topic. So, you can imagine them trying to splice in other DNA into ours to make this. Well, essentially, that's what Trollocs are. They're humans mixed with goats, cows, birds, whatever, trying to come up with animalistic, fighting, scary beasts just to put the fear of God into you. And that is, and it's like you can imagine it from a logical kind of point of view that this is something that they did in order to scare people with these horrible beast things, which makes a hell of a lot more sense than the Lord of the Rings idea, where it's like they look evil because they're evil, and that's how the world works. And that's Lord of the Rings, right? Like, there's that guy. He's evil because, and you can tell he's evil because look at all the fire around him, and look at how much he makes children cry, and look at his army. They're all evil things. He must be evil. Ugh. That's Lord of the Rings. Wheel of Time is more like, we want an evil-looking army. How are we going to get one? Well, let's make them look evil. Right? Because that would be what we would do, right? We'll scare the shit out of people. They'll have horns and stuff. It'll be scary. We'll make them bigger and stronger. They'll be scary. People, and then somebody else is like, yeah, great idea. Let's do that. We want a whole bunch of, there'll be morons as well, right? Yeah, morons, bloodthirsty morons. It's like, brilliant. That'll be our army. That's what we want, right? A whole lot of bloody weird genetic creations, bloodthirsty morons. We'll just fling them down at them and let all the idiots down there sort it out. Right, it's like that's essentially the reasoning behind these Trollocs that came up, and they came up with them. Yeah, there we go. That's that, and they've kept true to that. So they could have cut the budget down and made it so that they were all the same. And this, this is a lot of things a lot of YouTubers have talked about. They could have just made it so they're all the same, right? Sort of cardboard copy, cookie cutter bad guys, or very limited variation. But they didn't, and they also learned from how crap the orcs looked in the Hobbit movie to not have them look so crap in this one. Right now, this is the trailer. Now, I already know from having played this on my other YouTube channel that if I play this, that'll have like a copyright strike. Like, not just like when you play a song. Is like, this is like, no, you've stolen somebody's content. It's like, whoa, that's a no. But I'm not going to play it, right? Instead, I'm going to do what you totally, absolutely are allowed to do, and just get up a still from it, because you're totally allowed to do that. That's fine. That's fine. And what happened there? Oh, I wasn't expecting that. That's quality. Something just happened. Was that actually? But this noise just out. That doesn't necessarily mean it was here. That might be on my other channel. I've got no stream activity apparently. That all about? Can we like reload? Continue? What's going on? Oh, have I just destroyed things? Oh, I've not broken my stream, everybody. If I'm still streaming, then great. Whoops. What's going on with this thing? Well done. You're already using our... Yeah, I know that. I don't want to be doing this. Let's do this later. Leave. Right, so my alerts might not be working because I refuse to like go through the setup process of stream elements while I'm on here, which sucks. That's not good. That's not good. I'm gonna have to just do this. I don't want to miss out. I don't want to, next. Right. Yeah, it still says no activity. Cool. Okay, cool. So I don't know. That might have been something else. By the way, if it was with you, tell me what it was in the chat, right? Tell me what it was in the chat. A katana. Thank you, by the way, Gio. Katana, indeed. There's all you guys. Right, let's go find that bit where I can show you the trolley. Right, there's these things, right? Little couple of things that are missing from the analysis that other people have done in the trailers. If you are watching other YouTubers, actually, before we do this section, I'm so bad at doing segments, am I? You know it from the other show. Who are the good YouTubers? Well, Matt Hatch from the Dusty Wheel. The Dusty Wheel. Check out the Dusty Wheel. In fact, let's do this section together, right? Let's do this section together. I'll duplicate this thing because I said I was going to do this, right? So, oh, shut your face! Shut, 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 shut! Well, who knows what'll happen, right? That was right. So the dusty wheel. We'll see how that goes. I think I could probably get away with appealing that. Total accident. Sorry, guys. Dusty wheel. Damn it. Dusty wheel. Great, right? They're great. They're great. And the guy that does this is called Matt, and he's great. Absolutely great. Okay. Now there's another one, Daniel Green. He's a good guy. Daniel Green. He's great. He's great. He's pretty great guy. Pretty great guy. Good on you, Daniel. Doing a good job out there. There's another one, Nablus. All right, he's great. He's great. Great guy. Good stuff. Good going. Good stuff. Keep going. Doing a good job. What's his name? His real name? Real name might be Justin, and I think he doesn't want anyone to know that. But that's him, right? And then there's a whole load of them out there, but there's 3 really good ones. But they're all 3 dudes, and it wouldn't be right to just focus on that. So there's also like Lesby. Where is she? Nerdy. Where is she? What's she called again? Lesby Nerdy. She's great. Great. She's great. Really great. And there's other ones. There's other ones. Other ones. Oh, there's that guy. What's he called again? Something unraveling the pattern. Raveling the pattern. Good guy. Good stuff. Well done to him. Overtaking my other channel in terms of subs. Well done, buddy. Unraveling the pattern. He does a good job. Right. So there's 3 dudes and a chick, or 4 dudes and a lassie that does content. Oh no, there's better. There's another one. Brilliant. Yes. This one here. This one, Maidens of the Spear. And because there's 2 chicks on this one, I can this makes up for it, right? So 4 dudes and 3 chicks, 2 different female channels, right? So Maidens of the Spear. I'll just hit subscribe on that. They're cool, and also LBGTQYXYZ, all the rest of the alphabet friendly cool ones. Here's what they're like. Yeah. So
to destroy the world.
Yes, and saying that if the dragon.
Cool stuff, right? They're cool. Get collab with them sometime, right? Collab with them sometime, right? So there you go. Favorite, good stuff. There's some shout outs to all that. Oh, look at that. 4 people watching. That's me. There's 4 of you. Hi, is. Hi, 4 people. Love you. Oh, Tradespawn. Hiya. So yeah, the thingy. I'll show you the picture of what the Trollocs look like, right? Because I wanted to show you that. Oh, this is one of the things they didn't notice. In this little moment here, you see how their fingers are touching? That's because they used to be what's known in the book as pillow friends. Yeah, that's a little I don't know, maybe the Maidens of the Spear might have noticed it or whatever. Maybe everybody else has noticed it and I've just not noticed them noticing it. But during the trailer you can see this little moment there, and it's like, oh I see what's going on here. So that happened. And then there's the there's an outfit. People like outfits. There's a scene. Ooh. Where's this? Why is it not giving me? Come on. Ooh, is that going to load up? Why is it the quality so low? Can I like make it better? 1080 and it load up a really nice screen. Now, can I like jump around a tiny wee bit? Maybe get 5 seconds back. Oh, look at that! It's scary. Look, it's scary, right? And when this is moving, when it's moving images, it's even scarier. Brilliant. Also, one thing that nobody's really pointed out is, and I'm going to point this out now, right? I'm going to point this out now. Do you see how this is like ultra gloss, ultra glossy? Let's see, ultra like glossy looking, and everything's got like a shine on it. See those black horses there? You see how they've got a shiny black horse asses, for instance, right? So like everything's gonna this here is like, you know, it's kind of glossy. It would be, you'd notice it as being glossy. Come on, give me this picture. Right, look at that, like bright, and it gives this kind of like maybe glossy magazine feel to the thing, which you don't want in your whittled wood earthenware hearth-loving, fireside, cozy, higgy show, maybe, you know. And you're like, where's what? This is maybe this is the wrong film that they've used. Maybe they should have gone for something like that film. Uh, I think these are from my other chat. These are from my other channel. I mean, I don't have memberships on this one. So thanks very much to all these guys that sign up to. Oh, that means it's late. It means it's midnight. It means I should really tune out soon. Look at all these people. These people are subscribed to my other YouTube channel. Thanks so much to them. But the reason for this, I think, that nobody else has pointed out, as far as I'm aware yet, is because what happens is in the nighttime scenes, you get to have real darkness, but also visibility, right? And that's and then it creates consistency from the nighttime to the. That's going to happen quite a bit, by the way. I've got a few members. So you get this consistency. So you see the gloss, right? So you see how there's so much light on the ground there, so much light on that, but it's so obviously nighttime and also so obviously pitch black, right? They've thought about this, and I think it could work out to be quite spectacular, also, in terms of the effect, in terms of the night scenes, because there's going to be a lot of darkness in this show, a lot of darkness. I mean, it's set in the day, back in the day, then they're not going to like have street lights and stuff like that everywhere. This village got no street lights and whatever, so lots of darkness, and you want to have that visibility there, and that's going to be there, so that's cool. Roo, right. So scrolling back up a wee bit here and just checking in with the chat, and I'll kind of get around to wrapping this thing up then, I suppose, fairly soon, right? Unless you just want me to chill out and chat with you any longer, you can let me know. And then that'll be nice, and that'll be maybe something that people might watch at some point in the future. Kind of, hey, by the way, I'm Rocky Outcrop. It's nice to meet you. Hopefully you subscribe, and hopefully you make it so that I want to come back and do more Wheel of Time content, because I think we could have good banter together. I think we could chat good, you know. I think we could do this. I think we could have our own unique perspective on it. And I think that I could fit that gap right between all the people who want to be like extreme nerdy experts about this thing, and all the people who, you know, the 90 million people that read the books who aren't book nerds, but read them and loved them. All millions and millions of people out there, and looking for something that's in between, where it's just like a guy that can kind of straddle both worlds, perhaps. Then maybe that's me. Maybe that's me. Maybe you want to subscribe here. Maybe encourage me to come back and do more of this stuff, and hit the like button and stuff like that, because that'd be cool. I should right. I should cut that out and make that my channel trailer, shouldn't I? Yeah, it was a katana. Thanks so much for that, Joe. Wow, I am $25 of chat. 25%. 25%. Yes, you're 25%. You're 25%. Hi, Katie. Oi. Haven't read the book. Might watch the show. Wondering whether I should can the show till I read the books. No, man. Just don't worry about it too much. Don't worry about it too much, Katie. Don't worry about it too much. Because the beauty of this thing is that the first book, the first season, you know, we'll probably bleed into the second book in the first season and whatever else, like, and the thematic differences that they make in it, and there'll be a few crucial moments that will be different, and it'll work better on the show than making these changes. I'm not going to talk about what I think they'll be different in terms of spoilers. I don't want to cover that ground here in this show today. No real spoilers in this show. I'll keep it that way. But there'll be a few crucial differences, I think, in terms of chunky storyline parts that'll make it so that it works better on the show. And you're not going to you can and then when you read the books, you'll be like, that's cool. That was the wee bit different there. Or indeed, you could probably even almost, because they are being very faithful to the books, like I was saying, get away with almost skipping the first book if the show captured your interest that much and you wanted to know more about it. Or indeed, of course, you could try you could give this thing a shot. Let's see audiobooks. Let's just see, right? This is Wheel of Time audiobook, play all. Right, I don't really want to play the whole thing or any of that. Here's The Eye of the World, book 1 of 3. So here's what Kramer sounds like, and I'll just skip in so you can hear like a tiny section.
No sound at all came from those in the shadow. Rand suspected his friends, at least, were too frightened to make a noise.
I don't know. I like that. If you find that audiobook if you find that guy's voice is listenable to, then there you go. You could get it. It's on YouTube, right? So I'll not play any more of it. I'm not actually out there to propagate copyrighted material at all. You know, that's not what that show's about. But that's, you know, your own thing there. Yeah, right. Anyway, of course, I'd always encourage you to to get the actual copy of the book. So right, yeah. So I don't know. High contrast, yeah. High contrast, KT. That's it. It's like super high contrast and glossy feeling. But it's high contrast. But I think that what they've done is they've put a slick of white light over things in the daytime shots. They put I think you let me know, and tomorrow night or the night after, whenever you've watched some, or I'll retract my comments now when I've seen the actual show and whatever else. But I think that they've kind of put a gloss over things. A gloss maybe being the wrong word, but I think it's appropriate to give it so that at nighttime they can have that gloss there and consistency between the two, not with the high contrast thing, but an extra kind of white shimmer on things, just to well, it makes it look a bit more magical in a sense as well, I suppose. The Ghost of Dead Money says nighttime was pretty dark in the books. Yeah, that's right, pretty dark in the books. And as well, it's like got that real. It's not medieval. Okay, this isn't medieval period. This is more like Renaissance period. So we don't have street lights everywhere, but there will be places where they're well lit. You know, and there's gas lighting going on. There's gaslighting going on in the books all the time. Damn it. Yeah, but actual gaslight, or no, not gas, but like, you know, like in the gaslight district in San Diego is kind of what I'm getting at. You know, where people might go around and and light them like they did here back in the day. They used to have people that go around and light the oil lamps. And then they might have bits like that, like London in the 17th century or whatever. And then they might have, you know, other stuff. But like when it's out there at nighttime, it's dark. Ain't nobody got any glow in the dark stuff. Ain't nobody got any torches or anything. So it's dark, and then the stuff that happens in the night is dark. It's not one of these. It's not like vampires or anything. It's none of that. But it's like, you know, there's a lot of it. And it's a lot of that sort of stuff is explored. The stuff that happens in it is so often does happen at night. Which I think is probably a point of contrast to something like Game of Thrones out there, where so much of what happened in Game of Thrones happened during the day. As if in Game of Thrones they're like, well, we have war, and it's really hard to have war at nighttime, so it's during the day. And then if it's nighttime, you're inside, and if it's at nighttime and you're inside, well, you're inside in a building which has got really pretty crap natural light anyway. So nighttime inside is just ever so slightly darker than daytime inside, and is whereas this is probably more realistic to the life of somebody in that period of time, where you actually, you've got stuff to do. It's dark, and I think that's quite cool. And they'll probably tap into, the old European cities that they've been to and seen, in terms of like how things could have worked back then, and a lot of it's filmed in these sorts of places. Yeah, are there mountains in Prague? There are, but they also went to Slovenia for mountains. They went to Croatia for desert and mountains. So there's it's quite cool. It's actually quite a good. There's quite good choice for them in that region, as it happens. 9 watching now. What? This is historical viewership. This is it. More viewers than I have subs. If one of you were to sub to this channel, you'd boost it up so much. Can you believe it? Wow. I wouldn't call them mountains, but there are hills. Okay, cool, right? But they went to various locations for stuff and got that stuff. Got. And when they got that stuff, poof, wow, they used that and it looked good. They filmed in the mountains of Slovenia. Boom. Yes, Danilu, thanks so much. You'd already said that by the time I was reading it, but that's like confirmation, kind of. Oh yes, the wheel. Good catch. Nice. They look amazing in the shot with horses riding through the valley. Yeah, they do. Yeah, cool. Cheers, Danilu. Who? By the way, that's Tradespot in there. You should check him out. Like I say, if anybody wonders if you are tuning in, this is my other channel, Rocket Crop, does technical analysis and stuff on it. You check out Tradespot, and sometime check out myself as well, Rocket Crop, if you're ever into that sort of stuff. And if you are coming over from another place, like I would love to have seen Horn Hunter here tonight, or one of the other ones they've got who tune into the show from time to time with Wheel of Time related names as their names. It's like it is so good, and use probably can remember, some of you remember at times whenever I've had a big smile on my face because Horn Hunters come along. This is another passion of mine from life. Anyway, didn't know if that would, but I made the assumption he was from that, and then I asked him and it turned out it was. It's like, oh yeah, Wheel of Time, brilliant. Hey Homer, how's it going? I was in the former Montenegro once. They had mountain after mountain all the way to the sea. Wow. Homer's Ghost, good to see you. 17 people here. Well, wait, Tradespun, did you just do a sort of a raid? Is this a raid? Hello to Trade Spotters. Hello, Trade Spotters. Welcome to the show. Thank you, Jamie. Yeah, so I probably will be tuning out. 10 viewers. Whoa. Maybe we'll be tuning out soon. But yeah, look at that Mistborn teaser trailer there on the screen. You can see that little clip, that little sort of bit of it. It's an animated show. Those hobbity looking feet there, funny. And you've got the Wheel of Time first season exclusive official clip. So you can see the lighting, okay, in this picture. Oh, the camera's over there, but you can see the lighting in that picture. You can see the sheen on her head. You can see their shoulders have got a white, very white light down the top of her shoulders. You can see on the rocks in the background the whiteness, the white light, the unnecessary additional white light. But mind you, not the light which it happened to be there. It's the lack of softening on purpose in white light conditions, and it's the potential for maybe having kind of enhanced that on purpose. And that's something I don't know. I've not seen that before. I've not seen that considered approach to this before, where there were and I think the only reason that you would do that isn't to make it so that there's an ultra gloss feeling and like make it like Glee during the daytime stuff to attract young viewers or something that I think other people have felt and not wanted to say on their YouTube channels. Are like, oh, I have some feeling about this scene. I don't know. Oh, and then I think because I felt this feeling and I've watched other YouTube content about it. For me, it's actually a deliberate choice, like that they've done that because they're going to invest in the nighttime scenes, to make it so that this show has got a darkness to it, a horror aspect to it, which is unparalleled in other and other content from the same genre. Things like The Witcher is going to be laughable child stuff compared to this, in my opinion. In my imagination, absolute laughable child nonsense, kindergarten nonsense. And ultimately, Game of Thrones will quite possibly end up being seen as being like just a tropey, narrow tropey show that exploited too many of these kind of like edgy human things like sex and blood without necessarily having delivered fully. Never, I mean, but did actually, and I loved Game of Thrones. So don't get me wrong, but certainly loved it more than like Spartacus or whatever they called that show. Was it Spartacus? Which was like very much exclusively that with very low quality everything else. And I think that actually what this is going to do is make the rest of them just look like they just were not on that level. Like good attempt, and then really good attempt. And Game of Thrones, wow, that was really built the expectation foundation amongst the audience for what they could enjoy and what would be good content. And then this is going to blow their minds, that type of thing. Now, hey, who knows? I'm confident that it'll be good, and I'm confident that in the period of 5 or 6 years that it has the potential to grow to become that. Okay, I don't necessarily want to think that actually expectations management for myself. Like I haven't allowed myself to think like that. I think that the first season of this thing, I'm just looking for the first season to be good. Just good. Good. And if you want, you can go back and you can look at what Game of Thrones was like in its first season, how much it evolved. In terms of costume and everything else. If this can do that and starts off on a, it's going to be a cut above. It's going to be way better than Game of Thrones ever was. And it can also improve at a similar trajectory. Obviously not story, but then what let down Game of Thrones is that they ran out of storyline, they ran out of runway, they had nothing left, and this isn't got that problem. So it has that potential to actually deliver, which actually Game of Thrones never had the potential to deliver on. It never had it. It was never going to have it. It was an impossible dream that they invested in because it was a simpler storyline and easier to do. And this is a far harder one was already completed before, years and years ago. And they could have done this at any time and they've never been able to. And it's like an achievement. This, even in and of itself, this is an achievement to have got to this point. So yeah, oh sugars, 15. Heck yeah, heck yeah, heck yeah. Thank you for tuning in to Rocky Outcrop on what? Yay, this is me. I'm Rocky Outcrop. Woo! Awesome. We'll have to stop by the bookstore. You can, and you can also, listen to the audiobooks as well if you like. Now, there's a Rosamund Pike. Rosamund Pike is the actress, the actor, I think is what you're supposed to say these days, playing the lead character role of Moiraine, and she is going to be, and you might know her from other movies like Gone Girl and stuff like that. She has got a really good voice, and it's going to be really good at reading the books. And Danilu in the chat here earlier on was saying that she really enjoyed some of the Rosamund Pike parts. Not 100% sure if she likes the ones that are done in the male voice. And I was thinking, well, hey, you could skip between them if you got chapterized versions of the audiobooks. You could go chapter 1 here, chapter 2 there. Oh, female chapter, skip over to the other one and mix and match. I don't know. May have to watch a minute once the stream is done now that I know it exists. Lol. Hey. Yeah, watch the trailers. The show's actually out tomorrow night. That's why I'm all about here. Just wanted to do this stream here because the show's out tomorrow night. I'm going to be doing a watch party with the folk in my regular channel, Rocky Outcrop. It's a financial, technical analysis, investing, stock markets, cryptocurrencies, all that stuff channel. And I've got a really fantastic, amazing community there. Like, mind-blowingly good community. Pretty much as good as the community from the Wheel of Time, really, to be honest, which, that's high praise. The Wheel of Time people will as a community themselves think, well, affect me. There's a finance channel out there that's got a community that is even stands as being comparable to our own. Yeah, it's that good. Maybe because I've been inspired by all of you. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to be doing that with them, and I'll probably do something as well on YouTube for that. I don't know how it'll go. Maybe I'll broadcast myself watching the show through YouTube, so my reactions are there, but the audio and video of the show isn't. I don't know if that would be any good or not. I don't know. While I'm doing the watch party with the people from the Discord and all that sort of stuff, so it's super exciting for me and a handful of other people. I mean, that are excited about it already. But of course, for everybody who's not only just heard about this now, more than welcome to join us. It'd be great. So cool, yeah. Connemara, who's from Connemara? I haven't checked it. We'll check it out. Spartacus actor died during the series. I think got worse after that. Oh well, that explains a lot. So there we go. Trade spotting, says Kato Archaka. If you have never seen the film The Field with Richard Harris and John Hurt, see it. Shot almost entirely in Connemara, village of Lenon. Oh, cool. Lenon. That's cool. In Connemara. From opening scene, you will like it, I suspect. There we go. About an Irish field, an American comes to buy. An Irish field, an American comes to buy. Yeah, I think I've heard of that one. Very powerful. Sorry, Rocky. I was talking about the 1 hour of medieval Dr. Dre, lol. Sorry, wait, where's that? Is that up on my screen at the minute? 1 hour of medieval Dr. Dre. Am I being blind? Dr. Dre beats, but they're medieval. Oh, let's stick it on for a second. I will not put this. Well, yeah, okay. What's this one? Skipping a bit. That's funny. Family affair, medieval style. Yeah, good one. Good on him. Good on that YouTuber. Oh, that was unfair of me. Went over there and I watched that for a second and didn't give it a like. Shut up. Don't want to get a copyright strike though. Cool. How cool. Shh. Oh, we're done for now. Well, that's it. We're done for now. Well, don't know how that happened. You've used YouTube before. It doesn't normally work like that, did it? Did I miss something? Did it go to that mini player? Did I miss that? I don't know how that happened. You wouldn't think you could make a movie about a field. Well, hey, technology, eh? Has Rocky Outcrop shared his favorite what YouTubers yet? I had to step away from it. I did. I'll do it again though. There are these ones, right? You've got Dusty Wheel. There's the Dusty Wheel. This is Matt Hatch's YouTube channel. He's very good. He's, of course, from the guy that set up Theoryland back in the day, if you ever used that discussion forum. Really great, nice guy. I'll stick him on for a split second so you can see what he's like. Where he is here at the red carpet of the premiere. So in London, they did a premiere, advanced premiere showing. And
let me know.
there he is. He's a nice
And,
guy.
I'll try to remember that.
Actually, I'll tell you what, right? See, for my other channel, if anybody's watching, they've got this. Let me just show you. If anybody ever fancies, if anybody knows it, if anybody ever tunes in and fancies making something for me, they've got like he's got his own like music. It's obviously the theme of the music is it doesn't work for me. Where's his channel trailer? Do I not get to see channel trailers because I'm on Brave or something like that? I don't know where his channel trailer is. I go about. Do I get to see channel trailer there? Oh, that's annoying. The channel trailer is pretty good too. That's why I wanted to show like what the channel trailer looks like, so people could see it. Can I just search Dusty Wheel channel trailer? Nope, can't. Don't matter. Anyway, that's a good one. So anyway, so my thing, Matt Hatch from the Dusty Wheel, good one, right? Nablus, I think his real name's Justin, but I don't know, and I shouldn't propagate that if he doesn't want people knowing it. But Nablus, another good channel. I like this guy. Daniel Green is good as well. I spelled his name wrong, but it'll work anyway. There's Daniel Green. He's good, and that's that's 3 good male YouTube channels, and there's another one as well, a 4th good one, Unraveling the Pattern. And then in terms of female content creators, and I found it harder to remember their names and stuff off the top of my head earlier on, but I know at least 3 good content creators, 2 different YouTube channels that I wanted to promote as well during this. Lesbian Nerdy, great. She's she's I believe an African American, although I don't want to get that completely wrong, who lives in like Korea or something like that, and very passionate about the Wheel of Time, and a really lovely person. And then there's this one, Maidens of the Spear, and these guys, while they're brand new, relatively speaking, with only 544 subscribers, these 2, they're gonna go far in the world of Wheel of Time content creation. I like them. I really like them. They're and
If the Dragon Reborn was a girl, wouldn't be terrifying, and so.
Anyway, there you have those 2 there, and they're also friendly towards the LBGTQ XYZ whatever community out there. So if so like I think that's really cool to promote that sort of thing. And they've got a Discord called like Queer of Time or some sort of pun like that. And yeah, so they're great, really great, right? So that was 4 dudes and 3 chicks there. For that one. What's your ones, Jewel? Share. I am a Dusty Wheel mod. I stand Matt. You're a Dusty Wheel mod, Danalu. That's so cool. Yeah, Matt, it's great. Absolutely, like they're the top stuff. Cheers, KT of Churka. Have a good night, pal. Great, excellent. I got scotch in multitudes, but I suspect that the alcohol will feel well on the fresh sutras and gaping wound. Oh, that's not great. So I'm holding off on the scotch till tomorrow. Thanks much, Elias. Okay, take it easy, KT, buddy. Don't poke at it too much, KT, says Traceone. Good advice there. Yeah, hard to stop messing with it with my tongue. KT's going in for some dentistry, getting a tooth out. Not looking forward to it. Whiskey, that's going to help. I've got a bottle of whiskey right there. I'll drink one of them for you, sort of help you by imbuing some spirits for my spiritual friend and get a spiritual connection with you, hopefully take the edge off that way. And what you call it? What were you saying there? I got scotch, multi-chews. Yeah, and again, things. So good luck with that. And salt, water, all that stuff. But really, just what you want to do is not eat any crisps. You don't need me telling you this, right? But for anybody else watching, getting a tooth out, don't eat crisps or chips, as you might call them in the States, or peanuts or any of that stuff. That's a nightmare when you do that, when you've got a big hole in your mouth. Yeah. Yeah, white knuckled my hands and arms of the chair for the fun. Oh my goodness. Oh, Danalu, these are your favorites. Lesbian Nerdy, Jenny. Oh, you're talking about who she is. Jenny is a light-skinned black woman who is a dual citizen of Canada and Bahamas who lives in South Korea. Yeah, right. So I mean, totally. I was in the ballpark. I was in the ballpark there with that one. Yeah, she's cool. I mean, they're all great, right? They're all great. Oh, I forgot. There's another few that I quite like. Whatever, right? There's another few that I quite like. There's a few guys, a few of them together. What are they called? can't remember now. But the thing about the Dusty Wheel is that the Dusty Wheel is going to introduce you to these people. The Dusty Wheel is great for accessibility and inclusiveness. I mean, the guy is the collab king. He's such a lovely, really down to earth dude that is intimately connected to all things Wheel of Time, and great at presenting and that, and really great at listening and reading the chat and responding to everything all at once and everything. Maybe not so good at putting up polls, as a wee joke that they have in that community there. But yeah, so and what he'll do is he'll have other people on and talk to them. He also has people from the sort of Team Jordan as well on the show, quite a bit. And I mean, if you want to look back at the back catalogue of his interviews and stuff that he's done, or the discussions, or whatever you want to call it, they've done. He's got, like, he'll have them on and they'll talk about stuff that they found inside the boxes of notes from the Robert Jordan's estate, stuff like that. Really, really great channel to check out for all that sort of stuff. All of those are great content creators. I also suggest Rakapasadai. Yes, another one. Brilliant. Exactly. Couldn't remember the name off the top of my head. Rakapasadai of Wheel Talk. Yeah, Wheel Talk. Yeah, great pun. You see, that's the problem with the Wheel of Time stuff is all Wheel of Time puns as well as and stuff like that. So it's hard to remember the individual things. It's all good, but and that. So Rakapasadai of Wheel Talk. Yeah, great, and done some great interviews. There's another one, right? Another one. It doesn't matter, but there's another one. There's another one that's a guy and his girlfriend, and the guy has read the books and his girlfriend hasn't, and she's catching up and she does predictions and stuff like that about what they think is going to happen. If you're into podcasts and stuff. Oh, and if you're into podcasts as well, there's a really good one called oh my god, what's it called? What's it called? It's called Wheel of Time Spoilers. Right. Was it? Wow. That was a complicated name. Wheel of Time Spoilers. Yeah, both those guys are good, good for listening to, talking about stuff. Two very similar friends, obviously, but two also very different personalities, and that at the same time. So it's cool to listen to. Well, they're very similar personalities. What am I saying? But nuanced, and they talk about the show and or not the show, the books. They go back through the books, reading over the books with spoilers the whole way through. So that from the very outset, and they do it chapter by chapter. You're like reading it, and you're like, what you could have missed. Or what foreshadowing's happening, or little things like this object here will appear here later on and stuff like that. It's cool, it's fun like that. But it's just a couple of guys discussing stuff and having fun. All of those are great content creators. Yes, indeed they are. Dinosaur in there from Tradespawn. Cool, nice one. I love me a dino. Darn, I clicked on it, disappeared. Where's this thing? Top chat, live chat. That's it. And the wheel weaves, wheel takes, and the wheel reads. You see what I mean, right? The puns, great stuff, brilliant. Are all great first-time reader podcasts with a mix of veteran and first-time readers. Yes, the wheel weaves, wheel takes, and the wheel reads are great first-time reader podcasts. There you go. Now, if you are right, for specifically for my friends here watching this who haven't read it before, who think, hear me talking about it and think, well, if Rocky likes it, maybe I'll like it. You're free to not like the thing, right? But I genuinely think that you will, and also I'll genuinely think that you'll enjoy aspects of the community as well, like the amount of podcasts and YouTubers and stuff that do this sort of thing. It's not incredibly huge, to be honest, and a lot of those guys out there know each other and chat to each other, and they've got good banter between them, and then their own stuff is all really good, and they all massively respect the story and everything else, and it's so if you're enjoying it and you want to have a bit of fun, then that's out there. It's so accessible. There's like so much of that, and it's great too, because people who've read the stories 10 times and all the rest of it, And it's funny because I never did that whole reading it the whole way through again and again and again every time. It's like I've read it all the way through like 5 times, and read it, and then within that read individual books maybe like 20 times. So like a lot, like going or whatever. So I mean, we all put on Eye of the World from time to time and stuff. Anyway, yeah, there's not so there's a lot of good content creators, all really friendly, all respectful to the thingy websites and everything else, and it's all good fun and nice. It's like a nice, warm, welcoming community where people who've read the books 10 times get a vicarious pleasure from when somebody else is reading it for the first time, and that because and that says a lot, I think, about the love of the towards the stories, and towards each other in the community, and also it speaks to the enjoyment, in the way that, like, just the reminder for yourself about how you enjoyed it when you see somebody else enjoying it, and all that sort of stuff. So that all exists in that community. I think it's quite cool. Perrin is definitely a dog person. That's funny. It's the best book series I've ever read by a mile. Nice one. Rand wouldn't have had much time for pets. Horses don't really count as pets, I suppose, right? Do they? It's kind of funny. I had cousins growing up that had horses, and I think they thought of the horses as being like their pets. I think so. Do horses count as pets? When something is bigger than you by a massive amount, and and way stronger and everything else, and it feeds itself in a field, and you almost feel like it's just choosing not to run away, and it could it's like, and that, I don't know, it's like owning a friend, probably, is more of the thing. Malkier Talks, there's another one. It's such fun on YouTube and podcast. He does cooking and spoiler shows. He has a live show once a week called The Threefold Talk. Brilliant. There we go. That's another shout out to the, like, Malkier Talks. Great. Malkier is one of the countries within the story, and it's where that character Lan Mandragoran from that walks in, and that's where Daniel Henney's the one that Daniel Henney plays, that I talked about before, and they're from what's known as the Borderlands, and beyond the Borderlands is an area that's known as the Blight. Again, look, not spoilers. This is literally on the map on the front cover of the book before you've read any of the words of a story at all, right? So, like, that's where the Borderlands is. That's where Malkier is, and it's right next to the Blight. And the Blight's called the Blight because it's darn well blighted. It's pretty blighty over there, and also, and so they're the ones that stand right on that border. And as a result of that, the Blight's called the Blight because it's a real harsh area. So the people that grew up in that world are conditioned to cope with that. So this is why this particular character in the story is so good. And there's certain quotes from him, like, death is lighter than a feather, duty is heavier than a mountain, and these sorts of things, like, so there's like really good, like such good character there. He's the stoic, silent, stony, lethal killer character, and yeah, I'm not going to get into anything that's in any way spoilerific. So there you go. So that's it. Somehow I got unsubscribed. What? You got unsubscribed from my channel? That is not right. I'm going to have to write to YouTube customer service and complain. Good to see you, Amanda. Good to see you, Apple. Owning a friend, lol. Is that what it is like owning a horse? I wonder. It's a femdom story, Apple. Femdom story. Look, it's true. There's a lot of women power in the books. A lot of it. A lot of it. Alrighty, Homer. Great to hear. Cheers, guys. I made a mistake of taking on 3 painting commissions due by Monday. So I've got to put the pedal to the metal and get some paints on canvas. Good stuff, Homer, man. That's excellent. I mean, no. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. Inspired stuff, man. Keep up the good work. Resubscribers are worth extra loads, says Tradespot, and they are. And I think I'll probably then, let's kind of wrap this episode up then, shall we? and see how it's going and all that, right? My name's Rocky Outcrop. I'll just kind of keep this going for a couple of minutes here as I kind of wrap up. Here I am, big, right? So you can see my face and everything. Here I am. I've got this long hair and I'm wearing a jumper. This jumper you'll recognize from the logo thing, icon, avatar of this channel. I think I'm wearing the same jumper today on this very special live stream as what I wore in the picture I took for that thing all those moons ago. Well, that's me. I'm Rocky Outcrop. I do have another YouTube channel that has 11,500 subscribers about technical analysis and finance and all that stuff, and you're more than welcome to join us on that sometime. And if you're from that crowd, you're more than welcome to be here, whether you know about the Wheel of Time or not. I cannot promise to keep things always entirely spoiler free. I've done it this evening. I'll always be down to earth and human about things, and I never would, spoil anything really spoilery or any of that. So don't worry about that when you're tuning in here. And hopefully, if my kind of take on this is that I want to just be, I'm not going to put myself forward as a massive book expert, right? I've read the books more than enough times, but I'm not going to do that. I spend all day, every day, being an expert in something that's really difficult to be an expert in, this financial stuff. And I would love it to have a balance, like the yin and yang here, for this to be an area where I don't have to be an expert, and none of yous have to be expert either. What we're going to do is just really enjoy this fantastic piece of art, which is going to be the TV show and which is the books, together as a community. That's the goal. That's the goal here. And hopefully I can fit in a role there between expert content creators, and all that, and all the rest of it. And then there's these other ones. I mean, there's so much good stuff out there. There's that experience of the vicarious experience of the podcast, like the Wheel Weaves and stuff like that we talked about. And read those comments in the chat, by the way. If you've just been watching the show, you've not read the chat, read the chat there and read the comments by Danalu in there. So do all of that, and look at the other stuff out there, but as well, the other YouTubers I talked about, and see, because there's personalities, there's definitely something for everybody in this community, which is really a community of really friendly, down to earth, grown up nerds. Okay, like none of us are 17 anymore. Well, some people are. But we're all grown up nerds. We're all doing other stuff with our lives, and like I'm doing other stuff in my life too. But this is something that's a constant for me, and I just wanted to open that up, and hopefully then I could operate as a fulcrum for other people who's a constant for them and want to meet like-minded people and make friendships, and that actually is one of my core skills. Maybe even one day have a community part of things about that. By the way, I actually have a Discord that you can go and join. Now, it's actually a financial Discord for people who are interested in finance. But and it's paid, right? And there's a public room. There's a public room, and I'll add more rooms into the public section over time. So if you do find this channel and you want to get in touch with me, right? Because you can direct message me through my Discord server. I'm on there a lot. Now, like I say, all day, every day spent being an expert about things. If you want to just drop by and say hello to me, you can. If you're just interested in the Wheel of Time, discord.gg/Rocky Outcrop. Okie dokie, great. So I think that's time for me to do what I do on my other show. Okay, I do a reverse roll call. That's just me saying thanks to people for tuning in, and I'm going to do that now. So it's not a massive list, which is different. It's different. And nice and cool. And thanks so much for being here. Actually, before I do the reverse roll call, because that really does feel like the end to people, I'll also say that I would like to be able to have yous be a part of the show too, and I can do that. And if you want to, we can do live audio. You could be a part of the live show. We could do a live watch thing together where we all watch at the same time, and all of our audio comes through here to this channel and is broadcasted out, so that if you're then watching along too and you want to watch it with a group of people who are all watching at the same time and have the moments and stuff at the same time, then we could do that. let me know what you think about things. And if you want to be on here and chat, then you're more than welcome to. And to tell you what as well, one of the things I thought about that I would do is have people on if you were up for it and chat about it. I was going to suggest to Apple earlier on, if she wanted to be on the show, that she could come on, and I could have said to Apple Blossom, a lovely person from my financial community, who's read 3.5 of the books or halfway through the third book, to come on and tell us what she thought of the first book, and have others from yous to tell us what you think of the first book, and you could talk to me and I could sit here and go, and to quote Matt Hatch from the Dusty Wheel, interesting, and stuff like that. Whenever you say, you think you make a prediction, and I have to go, interesting, because I don't want to tell you if you're right or you're wrong. Stuff like that. We could do that, it's all fun. So we could do all of those things here on this place together as friends. One of my skill sets is being a human being. I'm practiced at it. We could do that together. Right, cool. Ronaldo Stocky, I see you chatting there, chatting to Tracepoint. I watched for that Steamy Scott. Oh, Tracepoint, I watched for that. I watched for that Steamy Scott. My daughter majored in fibers, so that interested me because maybe she could get a job there. Ooh. I don't know what that's about, sorry. Bit out of touch with that chat. Apple Blossom's talking about Outlander, set in Scotland, and it's got a character in it called Jamie. My brother's called Jamie. He's also called Tradespotting. Ooh, he's in the chat right there. So that's good. Dana Lou, thank you so much for tuning in here. Watch the show and have fun. I'll see you all around the YouTubes and what Discords. How cool was that? That was really good. Here, Dana Lou, actually, I'm going to make you can I not do it here? Dana Lou, if you're still here, thank you so much for being here now today. And I'll make you a mod here, right? How to do that? Report, add moderator. Check it out. I actually feel quite. I've just stolen you as a moderator there, Dana Lou. Not in a way like I've put that on you. So greatness is thrust upon you there. I actually feel really kind of like privileged to in that, even though I've completely taken advantage doing that sort of thing. To have have Dusty Wheel mod as a mod on this channel, it's like what? This channel's going places. What? How good is that? By the way, spoiler alert, very good. That's what that is. Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Tradespawn. Thanks. Yay. Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Duo. I mean, I'd make you all mods. Everybody that's been in here, by the way, is like a really close friend of mine. So thanks for tuning in. Actually, tell you what though, there's Nugsy MCB, and I don't know you from my other channel, and maybe you're here. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. I was putting in a solid 8 hours a day. I considered it my job since I was unemployed at the time. Lol. Wait. Nugsy, that's brilliant. I had a goal for the show here. Oh, I see you in there chatting about read the entire series in about 3 months, so loyal in lockdown, can't wait for Friday. Brilliant, Nugsy, brilliant. Neither can I. I had a goal. One goal from tonight's stream was to see if maybe I could get one other viewer from the Wheel of Time place to join up and subscribe, as a please hit that subscribe button. I'd have achieved my goal for this evening to have got an extra Wheel of Time subscriber. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. How good is that? Right. This is a delightful chat. It's like I say, Danalu, honestly, right? Honestly, I wouldn't throw that around. I wouldn't at all. This idea. My chat's like a Wheel of Time community. It's that good. Right. Okay. I love yous. I'll see yous next time. Rocky Outcrop. Either this is a new stream, or I've just reinitiated the other one and didn't end it in time because I forgot to do the reverse roll call. I was just like, whoa, blown away there for a second. So that's funny. I don't know if this is working or not. I don't know if this is a separate video. Doesn't matter to me. It's important. What the important thing to me is that I do the reverse roll call, right? Because that's tradition. This is tradition. Duo, thanks very much for tuning in. Traceborn, Ronaldo's Stalker, Stock E. Christy, thanks so much. Really appreciate you tuning in here tonight. The first guy that tuned into the live stream, you stayed throughout the show. Thanks so much, man. Duo Maxwell, thank you. Dana Lou, thank you. Apple Blossom, thank you so much. Ghost of Dead Money, thank you for tuning in. Nugsy MCB, thanks for tuning in. And as well, who else did we have here? The Ghost of Dead Money, did I say you already? Traceborn Homer's Ghost, thank you so much for tuning in. Buddy KT of Charka, thank you so much for tuning in. Doug, it's always good to see you. I hope you have a good. I hope the dentist goes well for you, buddy. Who else did we have here this evening? I know there's some names missing from earlier on. I know there are that I said other ones, but they're not appearing on the chat because it's been that long now. So that's it. That's a reverse call called